From the Fidelity Bank Foundation studio, PBS Kansas presents One-on-One with Victor Hogstrom.
This is the program where we get to know the person behind the persona and talk about life and the lessons learned along the way. This week, I continue my discussion with Splurge magazine publisher Jody Klein. In part one of this interview, Jody revealed for the first time publicly a discovery about her past that her mother had kept secret. It wasn't until her mother died that Jody learned the man who was married to her mother and raised her was not her biological father. We also discussed Jody's dramatic turnaround of Splurge magazine despite having no publishing experience whatsoever. This week in part two, we'll find out about Jody Klein's devoted and generous efforts to help break the cycle of family destruction by taking in the babies of at-risk mothers. And we'll find out how she's overcome family trials and childhood obesity to become an inspirational driving force in the Wichita community. This promises to be another compelling half hour in part two of my interview with Jody Klein. Thank you for joining us for part two of One-on-One with Splurge magazine's publisher, Jody Klein. Jody is also very much involved with another organization in our community. It's called Faith Builders, and we'll be talking about that as we continue our conversation. Welcome back, Jody.
Thank you. I have to kind of chuckle because I have been given the gift to talk a lot, so so the fact that there's part two does not surprise me. I was actually noted in my high school yearbook for the ability to tell stories. As I look back, that's why I left the underclassmen, is the ability to tell stories. So I've been able to talk about anything for...
Could that be one of the reasons why nursing didn't interest you any longer?
Well, you know what, it could be. I think it was definitely a bridge to where I am today, because it was that goal that I set for myself. And I still miss patient care, I'll be honest. I miss patient care, but I feel like I'm not necessarily in the hospital, but with Faith Builders, that I do feel like that is a way that I'm providing care just outside of the hospital though.
Right. Do you sometimes advise your husband, who's a medical doctor, on,
absolutely.
on patient care?
Absolutely. I can remember one time the phone ringing in the middle of the night, and he said, just, come to the office in the morning. And I woke him up again. I said, you need to call them back. They need to go to the emergency room right now. It was a head injury. And I said, you don't know how bad this head injury is, because you'll discover patients, they don't tell you everything. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of trying to make a diagnosis. And I felt it was more serious than what the patient on the phone was saying. So he called the patient back and said, I think you need to go to the emergency room for an evaluation.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Good to have you by his side, right?
Yes, we make a good team.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about Faith Builders. Tell us about it. What is it?
Well, Faith Builders is a local nonprofit organization, and I wish every city could have this benefit of having what we have here. Andrea Dixon is the founder of Faith Builders. And we talked about what has Splurge done to my life, and Splurge has given me so many different relationships. I've been able to mentor high school seniors. I've been on committees, and I have just been all these different events. I've met the rock stars of Wichita. I've met politicians and people I never even imagined ever meeting before. And they've all affected my life in such positive ways, but none the level that Andrea Dixon has. So it was 4 years ago. I met Andrea at a gymboree store. And I had just finished a photo shoot with the children from Rainbows, which I'm very, very passionate about, and they'll tell you that too. We give a chance for the children at Rainbows to model in the magazine, and it is promotion for Fashion Passion, which is their big fundraiser they have every year. And I was returning the clothes, and Andrea happened to be in the gymboree store with this little girl in her arms. And the manager of the store introduced us, and she told me I said, well, what do you need? And she said, I need homes. I have babies that don't have homes. I'm like, well, you're talking to the right person because at that time I had 3 children had already moved out of the house and I'd gone on to college, so we had some extra space. And so I signed me up. And so I literally left the parking lot, called my daughter and my husband. I said, you are not going to believe what I signed up for. And so they had to do a background check. And the nice thing is my husband and I both are in careers that are very transparent, so it didn't take long for her to figure out that we'd be a good match for her. However, no one believed that I would walk the walk. And so they just think there's no way possible because a lot of people, I think, misunderstand me and they really don't know who I am. And so that was, I think, on Thursday. By Saturday morning, we had our first baby. His name was Dwight, and the cutest little boy ever. So we kept him for the weekend. And then the following week, I got another little one. And by Thursday, I got a phone call from Andrea and saying, I need your help. And she said, this baby's going to be for 5 days. And I said, okay. And I counted on my fingers. I said, well, my son's in track, my daughter's in cheer. I said, I guess you can just go with us. And it was a 6-month-old little girl. And we ended up with her for over a year. And still involved with the family, still working on her case a little bit. It's kind of that case had some, didn't have the happy ending yet. It's still in progress. But Faith Builders is an organization, like I said, a nonprofit organization that provides just about anything a mother needs, from a family to food, clothing. We have a warehouse that they can go and get furniture, clothing. We have the food pantry. We have so many children that go to school that don't even have backpacks, and Andrea has a huge campaign to help the foster kids with backpacks. And the thing that I like about it, it is so transparent. I mean, you donate $1 and you know exactly where it goes because it's just local and you can see the work in progress on a regular basis. But so much mentoring and walking beside these families, and it really gives volunteers, because that's what we are, we're all volunteers, a chance to really make a difference in a child's life. And I've seen that happen in our own home. So we have a little girl right now, Leia. We've had her for almost, she was born February 22nd, and she's on my Facebook. She's been in the magazine quite a bit. She's pretty famous right now, actually. And her mother actually is a basketball player. And she's
professional?
D1 basketball.
D1,
yeah.
okay.
So she got recruited out of state, and my commitment to her was I will help you with your baby as long as you need. And that's the beauty of Faith Builders. There's no time frame. It's as long as it takes to get these mothers and fathers. And often, unfortunately, there's not very many fathers on board. We do have a couple very successful cases where the father is involved, but most frequently the mother. And so not only are we mentoring them, they become a part of our family. And so we had actually Leia's mother come home for Christmas, and I got her hotel room first for a few days, and then she asked to stay with us. And that's just, to see someone trust me and want to be part of our family. And she's young. She's had to fight for a lot of things in her life. It's God's work. I really feel it's God's work at hand. And Deuteronomy 15:10 says, give graciously to the children and those in need. And God our Lord, excuse me, will bless us. Wow, sorry. My makeup artist told me to have a Kleenex ready. And I forgot to have it handy. So anyway, sorry, Brooke. So one of the things that happened over Christmas was we made sure she had a Christmas, the mom and the baby.
Right.
And I did not realize for the last 3 years she's been in her dorm on Christmas by herself.
Wow.
She didn't have a Christmas. I didn't even know that at the time. And so the fact that she wanted to stay with us.
Is the mom in college? Or?
She's in college, yes,
Okay.
playing D1 basketball, yes. And like I said, I didn't realize that she hadn't had a Christmas. And so we wanted to make it special because this is her first Christmas with her baby. And so I had presents wrapped from her to her baby, from the baby to her mom, because I thought she would want a Christmas by themselves in the hotel.
Right.
And so I had it all prepared for them, and she didn't. She wanted to stay with us. And that's a lot because we're a big family. You know, I have three kids that are in serious relationships, married, or 2 of them are married. And so there's like 11 of us, and she still chose to be with us. And she thanked me afterwards that this is the best Christmas she'd ever had. And so those are the things that you can't prepare yourself for, because you don't know the impact that you're providing until you hear it and see the results of what this baby, her life, what it could be like without Faith Builders.
Right. So the goal is to have kids live in homes briefly.
Yes.
And it's not a long-term thing, but this
Right.
has been going for about a year now, I take it.
Yes, a year. Okay, so what happens is the whole goal is to help these families break the generational cycle of destruction. And in order to do that, we have to remove the mother, the father out of that situation also. So we have transitional living homes that Faith Builders can provide for them. We've also partnered with different shelters if there's domestic violence. But there's often times where the kids can't go with their parent to drug rehab or whatever. So the families that volunteer for Faith Builders will take that child in until the mother or the father can get on their feet.
That is the generational destruction?
Yes.
That you just described?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right, because we want them to break the cycle of things that they often, every psychologist will tell you there's often repeat offenders. You know, if you grew up in a house that's violent, then your household is probably going to be violent. So we want to teach these mothers to break the cycle, and Faith Builders has done a fabulous job at helping these mothers, first of all, learn how to parent, feel that they have support and someone who believes in them. It really just takes one person to believe in you. And if you have that person, and like Leia's mom, she's believing in us right now. She trusts us, and we FaceTime each other, we talk, we send her pictures. The interesting thing is, when I send her a picture or video, she responds to me immediately. If I ask her how basketball is going or her grades, she doesn't answer. So she keeps it pretty private, but the fact that she is engaging with her child, and my husband and I took the baby to the actual college. It's a 12-hour drive to visit her mom, meet the coaches, meet the players, and that was a lot of fun. That was felt like a long journey, but it was well worth it once we saw her excitement of reuniting with her baby. So here again, the ultimate goal is to keep them with their family, integrate them back with their family when it's possible.
So how did your family react to this first child and the continuation of more kids coming in and living in your home that you have to take care of when they found out about it?
Yeah. Well, the youngest, Tacey, she would probably not want to admit this, but I feel like she's my mini-me. Oh. She's always wanted to be around babies. She's always wanted younger siblings, just like I was, because she's the baby of the family. And she was ecstatic. To this day, I mean, she refers to them as her little sisters and or brothers. Most often we have girls for some reason, but so everybody was very receptive, and they have all, and that's the nice thing, when Leia's mother came home for Christmas, she saw not only my friends, my family, everyone just embellishes Leia and just shows her so much love and affection. So that was reassuring for her as well. But there's been no one in my family that's resisted her at all. Everyone is on board 100%. My friends, on the other hand, I remember getting a phone call, had the baby on my hip, get a phone call, and one of my friends, her husband, said, "It's your counselor calling. He's calling to tell you you're crazy for doing what I'm doing." It's a little different, you know, I'm getting up there in age, and but like I said, I really feel this is God's work. I've to have the patience and the getting up every 2 hours when she was a baby to feed her and do whatever she needed.
Especially after you've been through it on your own with your own kids, right?
Right, and run a magazine at the same time.
And running a magazine, that's
But
correct.
like I said, my staff has helped me find a really good balance. They know, because my philosophy at the office is family first.
Right.
And the magazine's still going to get there at the end. We'll get it done, but you have to put your family first.
So Jody, are there any other goals yet to be achieved on your part?
Goals yet to be achieved. Well, my youngest daughter, Tacey, just got accepted to Arkansas University. I have this secret hope that she becomes a nurse, because I think she'd be fabulous at it, but she's not showing much interest right now. So what I'm discovering is my children are not coming back to Wichita. Oh. My son is in Maine, my daughter's in Springfield, Missouri, our daughter Laura owns a restaurant in Lawrence, My son Tayton loves the mountains. My daughter Tasty loves the beach. So I've told my husband we probably should sell our house and buy little condos or apartments in whatever state our children are going to be living at. So my husband is now semi-retired. He works Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. And so we are able to travel around because our son is on the track team at KU. And so it's just family time. Anytime we're driving tomorrow morning to Springfield to go spend a couple days with my granddaughter. So I guess that would be my goal, is just being there for my family when they need us.
Now, we've heard about your, in part one of this program, we heard about your growing up days and your parenting, your parents and your father. That causes me to ask the question, what has been the toughest part of your life so far?
What has been the toughest part? Believe it or not, I had a weight issue in high school and into my 20s. I was 30 to 35 pounds overweight. And I think to this day, it affects me in different ways, because I remembered the way I was treated. I remembered, I truly believe to this day, I was on the homecoming court my junior year and senior year. And I believe I didn't make homecoming queen because I had extra weight. I could be wrong on that, but that was the only reason my mom could think was why I didn't get it. But it was awarded to my friend Tammy, who really deserved it, so I'm okay with it. So the hardest part is, even though I don't struggle with my weight now, I shouldn't say I don't struggle with it. Every day is a struggle, because you're constantly, in order to maintain adequate health, you need to be careful what you eat and drink, and so it's a daily issue, but I don't make it an issue. I make it habits. I'm reading a book called Atomic Habits, and I've tried to do more things right. But I think once, as I said in part one, that I found out all these answers to my childhood, I really kind of think I grew up with daddy issues, which is why there's overweight. Overweight is basically some level of an eating disorder. And I feel like I struggled with that way more than I should have. Changed my level of confidence, changed what I thought about myself. Honestly, in preparing myself for this interview, I've been dreading it because I didn't have the confidence to do this. And I didn't think, there's nothing you need to hear about me that's worth listening to. I've listened to the other guests that you've had on the show, and they've got, years of education, their doctorate, and it took me 9 years to become an RN. So I just thought there's just nothing worthy that anybody wants to hear. So
you're so wrong.
Well, thank you, but I do believe that's the hardest part of my life, is getting over the that I am God's child, and I am of value, and I can create good at what I do.
So what do you like best about life today?
What do I like best about life today? I feel like I'd like to be a really happy, positive person. So I feel if I can instill some of that, I always like to try to be the jokester and make light of situation, make lemonade out of lemons. Mm-hmm. I think here again, my family, and when I say family, Faith Builders is my family now also. It's, I guess, extended family. I'm just really happy in where I'm at with my relationships with my children and the kids. And Splurge is, I have a lot to be thankful for with Splurge.
So Splurge is making a difference in your life too?
Definitely, especially the people that I've met in my life, and the relationships. And I think the biggest surprise to me is politicians, because growing up, my parents didn't have money to support politics and even nonprofits. And to have met the different mayors and different politicians and senators, and we are so far removed from that growing up. That was not anything near, nothing that we'd ever expect to have. So I think it's interesting that I have met so many different politicians, because I don't know very much about politics, I'll be honest. So I don't like to talk too much because I don't want to look silly, but just the movers and shakers of Wichita. So Splurge has provided me that opportunity.
Tell us about the biggest missed opportunities that you've had, if any.
My biggest missed ever. Okay, I mentioned that it took me 9 years to get my RN, and the reason is because I did the LPN program first. A lot of people go right out of high school, right into the RN program. I didn't want to leave home. I had a high school boyfriend, and I just didn't want to leave home. And I had applied for Southern Illinois. I got accepted into Carbondale for the university, for the program, nursing program, and I didn't go. I just stayed at home, found the local program in Decatur. And so my biggest opportunity, and I didn't really realize this until my daughter Kelsey was a cheerleader at TCU. I wanted to be a college cheerleader.
Oh, wow.
And I think by going back and trying gymnastics at 36 and breaking both legs was a failed attempt. But I really think, and then she was involved in, she was a Theta, and I didn't know anything about the Greek life in the universities. And so I just thought, wow, there's a really important part of my life that I could have done differently had I gone to college. Not saying I would have made the team, but I certainly would have tried. And college cheerleader and the sorority life, I think, are some missed opportunities. And starting my children earlier, because I kind of ran out of time. I had last one when I was 42, and I should have started earlier so I could have had more.
Oh, wow.
So
You had a goal in mind for children, a number of kids?
my husband's one of 9, and I'm one of 6, and no, really
large families.
Yeah, didn't have just however many God would provide for us.
Right. What about a pet peeve? What is yours?
Pet peeve. I have a few, some silly ones, but probably the biggest one, well, there's a couple. Okay. I really hope through this program that people see who I really am, because I think I don't like to be misunderstood. And I think because you see me at all these events and I'm trying to put my best foot forward, and that's all people see of me, they don't really realize
and hitting
the heart.
Splurge magazine.
Right. They don't realize I'm just a person. I'm just a mom. And I just I feel like I am so compassionate and so sympathetic. I mean, listen, how many times have I cried today? So I'm just very sensitive, but when there's something I believe in, I'm very passionate about. And so that is, I think, being misunderstood as, I don't know if you consider that a pet peeve, but the other pet peeve is littering. I don't understand why people litter. That just drives me crazy. And I think from, traveling along, as a younger child, there'd be signs along the highway, $5,000 fine for littering. I'm like, why are people still doing this? It's against the law. And so when I see people just throw things out the window, I just literally want to track them down. And then the other thing I think that is really, really passionate about, and I don't get this subject too often because people feel differently, is spanking children. Oh. I am so anti-spanking children that I can't even begin to tell you. I have approached families at Disney World, in the parking lot, in the mall, threatening I'm going to call the police if they don't stop. That's not the way you raise children. My kids just ducked down in the seat when I get out of the car in a parking lot one time because they were this. I just am very passionate about the way you raise children, and hitting is not the answer. So
when you approach people who spank their kids or hit them, as you put it, what do they say to you?
Mind my own business. They get very angry at me. They tell me mind my own business. And one specifically at Disney World, she kept slapping her little girl's legs because she kept trying to get out of the high chair. And I said, ma'am, there's a buckle on your high chair. If you just buckle it, she can't get out. Something. And she says, mind your own business. So I never have gotten any thank yous at all, because I think when I catch them, they know they're wrong and they feel guilty. And so their first reaction is to be defensive. But yeah, that's something There's a country, and I was going to look it up a long time ago, that outlawed spanking children. And I think that should be a law, especially in schools. I think that's wrong. So
what are your guiding principles in life?
My guiding principles. Prayer and the Bible. Really, if you read the Bible, and I have not read it, but I'm trying to do the day at a time in a year. I cannot commit myself to that. Life's instructions are in the Bible. It tells you what to do, what not to do, when to do it, basically. It's just life. It's like, say, life doesn't come with instructions, but it really does if you read what's in the Bible and pay attention. And I think something that I've learned and been very fortunate about is, especially the last 2 years, I have been surrounded by so many godly women. Even right before the show, they prayed with me because they knew how nervous I was to do this. And I think that learning that set your goals, don't give up, listen to God, what God's telling you. And so, like I started to say, is the last couple of years, I had no idea God was telling me to do something. And I now just listen, and surprised how many prayers get answered.
Right.
And it's not always my answer that I want, but it's the one I live with.
So how do you know that God is speaking to you?
Because they're just not coincidences. They're just, we'll pray about something and something will happen, and people say, they'll say those are God taps, those are God winks. But you can just feel that just could not have happened by itself. That was a resolution of a situation that God had to have his hands in on. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's interesting how you just feel like you're not alone anymore.
Right.
And there's always an answer. That's the other thing I'm known for in my family is I have an answer for everything. Everything, I'll find an answer. One thing, you don't cry over spilled milk, and there's a solution for everything. So it's not worth getting upset about. And my daughter Kelsey will tell you exactly that I can solve just about any problem that comes in front of us.
So no wonder you've been successful with the magazine, Splurge, yes. So Jody, my final question is, what are the words that best describe you? The
words that best describe me. Can I use the words my friends use?
That's fine, yeah.
Like I said, they don't understand how I can give so much to a child at this point in my life. So they always say I'm the most generous, kindest person that they know and giving. And I think I'm pretty happy, and I love to laugh. I don't see scary movies. I don't watch violent movies. My husband is so tired of love stories and comedies. I mean, that's how I look at every movie. Nope, we're not doing that one, not doing that one. So I think just surrounding yourself with positive people helps with that too. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
On that note, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jody Klein.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate having you.
Thank you for your time.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I thank you for watching this week's edition of One on One. Our email address is oneonone@kpts.org. That's if you have a question or comment. Until next time, I'm Victor Hogstrom. Do take care.